It's 2:47 in the morning. The house is quiet. Your partner is sleeping peacefully beside you, and yet your mind is wide awake. You're not worried about anything urgent, exactly, but somehow your thoughts have wandered to that conversation you had with your daughter last week. Did you say the wrong thing? Should you have said more? Then suddenly you're thinking about a decision you made 30 years ago, a road not taken, a person you lost touch with, and before you know it, you're lying there, staring at the ceiling, wondering, oh, why can't I just rest? If this sounds familiar, I want you to know something important right now. You are not alone, and there is nothing wrong with you. Have you ever noticed how the quietest hours of the night somehow become the loudest inside your mind? Today, we're going to explore something that millions of people over 60 experience, but rarely talk about openly. We're going to understand why your mind does this at night, what it's truly searching for, and most importantly, how to find the gentle peace you deserve. This isn't about quick fixes or complicated techniques. This is about wisdom, the kind that comes from understanding yourself a little more deeply. So settle in. Take a slow breath, and let's walk through this together. There's a reason this happens more as we grow older, and it's actually quite beautiful when we understand it. You see, when we were younger, our days were filled with doing, raising children, building careers, solving immediate problems. Our minds were so busy with the next task that there was little room for reflection. But now, life has opened up in a different way. The children are grown. The career has shifted or completed its chapter. The house is quieter, and suddenly the mind has space it hasn't had in decades. And what does the mind do with space? It begins to process, to revisit, to wonder. This is not a flaw in how you're aging. This is your mind doing exactly what minds are designed to do, making sense of a life richly lived. I think of a woman named Margaret, who shared her experience in a letter to me last year. She's 74, lives in a small town in Ohio, and for months she couldn't understand why she kept waking at 3 a.m., her thoughts spinning about things that happened decades ago. I thought I was losing my mind, she wrote. I thought something was breaking inside me. But then she realized something. Her mind wasn't breaking. It was searching for meaning, for resolution, for a sense that her life, with all its twists and turns, made sense. Once she understood that, the nighttime hours felt less frightening. Still challenging, yes, but no longer a sign that something was wrong. My mind wasn't my enemy, she wrote. It was just catching up. If you felt something similar, I want you to hold on to this. Nighttime overthinking after 60 is often the mind's way of seeking closure, meaning, and peace. The question isn't how to silence your mind. The question is, how do we listen to it with kindness? Let's explore that together. Here's something fascinating about how our minds work, and it explains so much of what happens in those quiet, wakeful hours. Our brains have a natural need for completion. When something feels unfinished, a conversation, a relationship, a decision, the mind keeps returning to it, hoping to find closure. Psychologists have studied this for decades, but we can simply call it what it is, the mind's way of trying to tie up loose ends. At night, when there are no distractions, these unfinished threads rise to the surface. The mind isn't punishing you. It's asking for your gentle attention. Think about it for a moment. During the day, you're busy. Perhaps you're running errands, preparing meals, talking with friends, watching television. Your attention is occupied. But at 3 in the morning, there's nothing to occupy your attention except your own thoughts, and so the mind begins to speak. Sometimes softly, sometimes insistently. It brings up the letter you never sent, the apology you never received, the thank you forgot to say, The choice you made when you were 40 that changed everything. These aren't random intrusions, they're invitations. Invitations to acknowledge what was, to make peace with what remains unresolved, to honor the complexity of a life fully lived. Now I know what you might be thinking. But I can't change the past. Why does my mind keep going there? And you're absolutely right. You can't change what happened. But here's what I've learned from speaking with so many wise people over the years. The mind doesn't always need you to change the past. Sometimes it just needs you to acknowledge it. To say, yes, that happened. Yes, I felt that way. Yes, I carry that still. Not to dwell, not to suffer endlessly, but simply to witness what was true. Because when we push memories away during the day, telling ourselves we're too busy, or it doesn't matter anymore, or we should just move on, those memories wait. They wait for the quiet, for the space, for the moment when there's nothing else competing for attention. And then they emerge. This is why fighting your nighttime thoughts rarely works. The harder you try to silence them, the louder they become. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. You can manage it for a while, but eventually it will pop back to the surface. So what do we do instead? We learn to float alongside those thoughts, to observe them without fear, to understand that they're not a sign of something wrong. They're a sign of something deeply human. You've lived a long life. You've experienced love and loss, success and disappointment, connection and loneliness. You've made choices that turned out beautifully, and choices you wish you could take back. All of that lives inside you. And sometimes in the quiet hours of the night, your mind simply wants to revisit it, to touch it again, to understand it a little better. This is not a burden to overcome. This is the sacred work of a reflective mind. There's another dimension to these nighttime hours that I want to explore with you, because I believe it touches on something profoundly important. As we move through our later decades, there's a natural process that begins to unfold. Psychologists sometimes call it a life review. It's not dwelling. It's not being stuck in the past. It's the mind's way of asking, did my life matter? Did I make the right choices? What legacy am I leaving? These are profound questions, and they don't have easy answers. But here's what I've come to understand. The mind that asks, did my life matter, is a mind that cares deeply about meaning. That's not a burden. That's a gift, even when it visits at inconvenient hours. Think about the moments your mind returns to. Perhaps it's a time when you helped someone in need, or a time when you feel you failed to show up. Maybe it's memories of your children when they were young, or decisions you made in your career. These aren't random. They're your mind's way of asking, what does all of this mean? How does it all fit together? And I want to offer you something that might bring comfort. You don't need to have all the answers. Life is messy, complicated, full of contradictions. You made the best choices you could with the knowledge and resources you had at the time. Some of those choices led to beautiful outcomes. Some didn't. But all of them, every single one, were part of your journey. Part of what shaped you into the person you are today. And that person, lying awake at night wondering if they did enough, that person is proof that your life has mattered. Because people who didn't care, who didn't love, who didn't try, they don't lie awake wondering if they did enough. Only the ones who gave their hearts do. So when your mind asks, did I do the right thing? You might gently respond, I did my best, and my best was enough. When it asks, should I have said something different? You might say, perhaps, but I said what I could in that moment. When it asks, was I a good parent, a good partner, a good friend? You might say, I loved as well as I knew how, and love, imperfect as it was, mattered. This isn't about dismissing genuine regret. If there are things you wish you'd done differently, that awareness is valuable. It speaks to your growth. But it's about balancing that regret with recognition of all you gave, all you tried, all you cared about. Your mind is searching for meaning, and the beautiful truth is, the meaning is already there, in the love you gave, in the moments you showed up, in the ways, large and small, that you touched other lives. You don't have to prove your worth, you simply have to remember it. And sometimes that remembering happens at 3 in the morning. Now, I also want to acknowledge something else, something more physical, but equally important. As we grow older, our sleep patterns naturally shift. This is simply biology. It's not a failing, it's not something you're doing wrong. The deep, uninterrupted sleep of youth becomes more elusive. We may sleep lighter, wake more easily, find ourselves alert at hours we'd prefer to be resting, and when we wake in the night, the mind, now alert, begins to do what minds do, think. This is not a failure, it's the natural rhythm of an aging body. But here's where it becomes challenging. We wake up, we notice we're awake, and then we start to worry about being awake. Oh no, I'm awake again. I need to fall back asleep. I have things to do tomorrow. Why can't I just sleep like I used to? And that worry, that frustration with ourselves creates tension. And tension makes it even harder to rest. So we lie there, increasingly frustrated, watching the minutes tick by, feeling like we're failing at something as basic as sleep. But what if we approached it differently? What if, instead of fighting the wakefulness, we simply accepted it? Not with resignation, not with defeat, but with gentle understanding. Ah, I'm awake. That's okay. My body is doing what bodies at this age sometimes do. I don't need to fight this. I can simply be here, resting in the quiet. This shift, from resistance to acceptance, can change everything. Because here's a secret. Rest is not the same as sleep. Even if you're awake, if you're lying peacefully, breathing calmly, letting your body relax, you're still resting. You're still giving your body and mind a chance to restore. Some of the most peaceful people I know have made peace with their wakeful hours. They keep a calm audiobook nearby, or soft music, or simply lie there in the gentle darkness, not fighting, not forcing, just being. And often, that acceptance is what allows sleep to return. Because the body feels safe, the mind feels safe, and safety is the doorway to rest. If what we've shared so far has spoken to something in you, if you found yourself nodding along or feeling a quiet sense of understanding, I'd like to invite you to become part of our community here at the Wisdom Voice of Seniors. This is a place for people who value reflection, who believe that growing older is not something to fear, but something to understand with grace. When you subscribe, you're not just following a channel, you're joining a conversation among wise, thoughtful people who are walking this journey alongside you. So if you haven't already, consider clicking that subscribe button below. And if you'd like to be notified when new conversations like this are shared, the notification bell is there for you. We're in this together, and your presence here matters. There's one more dimension to these nighttime hours that I want to explore with you, because I know it touches many hearts. Many of us find that our nighttime thoughts drift to the people we love, our children, our grandchildren, our partners, our friends. Are they happy? Are they safe? Did I do enough for them? Am I still needed? This is the beautiful, and sometimes heavy, weight of deep love. When we love people, we carry them in our hearts, and at night when the world is quiet, that carrying becomes more noticeable. You lie there thinking about your daughter's job stress, your grandson's struggles in school, your son's health concerns, your aging sibling, and you want to help, you want to fix things, you want to make everything okay for them, but you can't. Not always, not in the ways you could when they were young and you could kiss a scraped knee and make it better, and so the worry comes, gentle at first, then growing. Until you're lying there at 4 in the morning, your mind spinning through scenarios, trying to solve problems that aren't yours to solve. If this is you, I want to share something that might bring you comfort. You can love someone without carrying the weight of their entire life. You can care deeply without believing that their peace depends entirely on you. You can hold them in your heart, with hope, with blessing, with trust, and still release them to their own journey. This is one of the hardest lessons of this stage of life. Learning to love with open hands instead of clenched fists. Your children are adults now. They're making their own choices, walking their own paths. And yes, sometimes those paths are difficult. Sometimes you wish they'd chosen differently. But they're learning their own lessons, building their own strength, finding their own way. And your role now is not to rescue them from every challenge. It's to trust that you gave them what they needed. To trust that they have the capacity to navigate their own lives, to love them, to support them when they ask, but not to carry what is theirs to carry. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care in a different way, a way that says, I believe in you, I trust your journey, I'm here if you need me. But I also know that you have the strength to face what comes. When thoughts of loved ones keep you awake, try this gentle practice. Instead of trying to solve their lives in your mind, simply send them a quiet blessing. I wish you peace, I trust your path, I hold you in love. You might be surprised at how much lighter that feels, because love doesn't require worry to prove itself. Sometimes the deepest love is simply trust. Trust that they will find their way. Trust that the love you've already given them lives inside them, guiding them, even when you're not there. And trust that releasing them to their own journey doesn't mean you love them any less. It means you love them enough to let them grow. Now I'd like to invite you into a moment of gentle reflection, because the deepest peace doesn't come from someone else giving you answers. It comes from you finding clarity within yourself. So let me ask you a few questions, not to answer right now, just to sit with. When your mind wanders at night, where does it most often go? Is it to a particular person, a particular time in your life, a decision that still lingers? There's no judgment in noticing this, only understanding. Take a moment, just breathe, and notice where your mind naturally travels when given the space. Now another question. What might your nighttime mind be searching for? Closure, meaning, reassurance, forgiveness, of yourself or someone else? Sometimes, simply naming what we're seeking brings us closer to finding it. You don't need to have the answer right now. Just let the question rest gently in your awareness. And one more. What would it feel like to offer yourself the kindness you'd offer a dear friend? Imagine someone you love came to you and said, I can't stop thinking at night. My mind won't rest. I keep going over things from the past. What would you tell them? Would you judge them? Tell them to just get over it? Tell them something is wrong with them? Of course not. You'd probably say something like, that sounds difficult. You're carrying a lot. It makes sense that your mind is working through it. Be gentle with yourself. Now who can you offer yourself that same gentle understanding? Because you deserve the same compassion you so freely give to others. The mind that overthinks at night is not a troubled mind. It's a caring mind. A mind that has loved, that has lived, that has tried to make sense of a complicated, beautiful world. The goal isn't to silence that mind. The goal is to meet it with patience, to say, I hear you, I understand, and we will find peace together. This is not a battle to win. It's a relationship to nurture, the relationship between you and your own thoughts. And you have already lived through so much. You've navigated challenges you never thought you could face. You've survived losses, celebrated joys, adapted to changes. You have the wisdom to navigate this too. Now, let's talk about some gentle practices you might find helpful. These are not rigid rules. They're simply offerings. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. The first is something I call the nightstand notebook. Keep a simple notebook and pen beside your bed. When thoughts arrive in the night, instead of letting them spin in circles, write them down. Just a sentence or two. This does something powerful. It tells your mind, I've captured this. You don't need to keep reminding me. Many people find that simply externalizing a thought releases its grip. You're not solving anything by writing it down. You're just acknowledging it, giving it a place to live outside your mind for a while. Another practice, the breath of peace. If you wake with a racing mind, try this. Breathe in slowly for 4 counts. Hold gently for 4 counts. Exhale slowly for 6 counts. Repeat 3 or 4 times. This isn't magic, but it signals to your body that you are safe, and a calm body makes space for a calmer mind. The rhythm of the breath, slow, steady, intentional, reminds your nervous system that there is no emergency, that you can rest. Here's another gentle practice, the gratitude anchor. Before you close your eyes for the night, bring to mind 3 small things from your day that were good. They don't need to be grand. The taste of your morning tea, a phone call with a friend, the sound of rain, the softness of your pillow. This trains the mind to look for peace, not just problems. It shifts your focus, just slightly, from what's unresolved to what's already beautiful. And when the mind has something peaceful to rest on, it's easier to let go of the spinning thoughts. Now, here's a phrase you might find helpful when the nighttime thoughts come. This doesn't need to be solved tonight. The mind sometimes believes it must figure everything out right now, that if it doesn't solve the problem this very moment, something terrible will happen. But most of the time, that's not true. Most of the time, the thing your mind is working on has been there for years. It will still be there tomorrow, and the next day. You can gently remind your mind, we can return to this tomorrow. For now, we rest. You're not dismissing it. You're just postponing it, giving yourself permission to set it down for a few hours. And finally, here's something that might feel counterintuitive, but I've seen it bring peace to many people. If sleep doesn't come easily, consider accepting the quiet hours. Instead of seeing them as failure, see them as simply time. Quiet time. Reflective time. Keep something soothing nearby. A calm audiobook, gentle music, a simple breathing practice. And if you remain awake, that's okay. You're still resting your body. You're still giving yourself care. Some nights are for deep sleep. Some nights are for quiet presence. Not every night needs to be perfect. And your worth is not measured by how quickly you fall asleep. You're doing the best you can. And that is always enough. As we come to the close of our time together, I want to leave you with something I hope stays with you. You have lived a life filled with experiences, joys and sorrows, triumphs and regrets, love given and love lost. And now in these quieter years, your mind is doing the sacred work of making sense of it all. That's not something to fear, that's something to honor. The nights may not always be easy, the thoughts may still come, but you have the wisdom within you to meet them with grace. You've navigated so much already. You've loved, you've grown, you've survived. And this chapter of reflection, of deeper understanding, is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new kind of peace. A peace that comes not from having all the answers, but from accepting the questions. A peace that comes not from perfect sleep, but from gentle rest. A peace that comes not from silencing your mind, but from learning to sit beside it with compassion. So tonight, when you lay your head down, try to remember, your mind is not your enemy, it's your companion, and together you and your mind will find rest. Perhaps not always perfect, but always enough. You are not alone in this. Millions of people around the world are lying awake tonight, asking the same questions, seeking the same peace. And peace is possible, not by silencing the mind, but by learning to rest beside it. You've earned that peace, and it's waiting for you. In the quiet moments, in the gentle breaths, in the soft acceptance of what is. You are exactly where you're meant to be, and you are doing better than you think. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this conversation has meant something to you, I warmly invite you to subscribe to the Wisdom Voice of Seniors. Here, we explore the questions that matter in this stage of life, with calmness, with wisdom, and with respect for the journey you've traveled. When you subscribe, you become part of a community of thoughtful, reflective people, and together we continue learning, growing, and finding peace. If you'd like to share this video with a friend or loved one who might also be experiencing those wakeful nights, please feel welcome to do so. Sometimes, just knowing we're not alone is the greatest comfort. And if there's a topic you'd like us to explore in a future conversation, something that's been on your mind, something you're working through, I invite you to leave a comment below. This is your space too. Until next time, I wish you gentle nights, peaceful thoughts, and the quiet assurance that you are exactly where you're meant to be. Take care of yourself and rest well.